side and Sett13 and whatnot, is those kind of pairings. I'm interested to see if that's going to change at all. You know, Sett13 is of course banned out. Xayah has been really popular as an answer. You know, there are a few different options here, but you know, yesterday's series I think looked pretty similar in draft to what we were seeing on the previous patch. Yeah. So I am kind of expecting a lot of those similar things. Rakan plus Rell, really strong 1-2 combo there. That was something that I think a lot of people were looking at in yesterday's series and saying, okay, we need to break this combo up. It is too powerful as far as the initial engage, then the follow-up here. It does tip the hand that it should be jungle Rell. Rakan going to be going down to the support position here for Ignar. That's one of his signature picks. So will be interesting to see what the answers are. Maokai, pretty standard.
And it's a good way to break up the fight as well. With such heavy engage already locked in for energy, you want some powerful disengage. Maokai ultimate, great at being able to break up the fight and buy some space. The one thing about Kaisa is until her Void Seekers come online with that additional AP later in the stages of the game, you are pretty short range, and wow, I love that sign. As the Jayce is going to be locked in as well, this can still be flexed between APA or Summit if they choose to do so later in the draft.
And APA has not yet played a Kaisa game, so you know, generally you would be saying, okay, that's going to be AP Kaisa mid. You know, yes, it could be going down to bot, but because APA hasn't played it, we're not so sure. I would expect it to be mid Jayce because that has been much more common, but again, APA hasn't played that in the LCS. Summit hasn't played it this split, so we don't know exactly where things are going to go. We'll see if they are going to be looking to flex these around. Xayah, a pretty obvious third pick here for NRG, especially since they already got Rakan. We've been seeing that duo broken up quite a lot, but does give FBI the ability to kind of, you know, absorb any sort of engage that is coming in towards him. It's really tough to actually dive this champion. Yeah. And if you pair it alongside a lot of other champions that are pretty difficult to take down, it becomes really hard, I think, for TL to kind of find a target. And that's why I think that they may be moving more in towards a poke-based comp. I think Xayah can really struggle against that. If you just go AP Kaisa, if you have lethality Jayce, you add in even a little bit more additional poke and you play something that's a little bit more non-committal, that's where I feel like Xayah can really start to struggle, because Xayah really succeeds when people are piling in towards her, stacking up on those feathers. You can get a really good pullback. Yeah,
and it puts the onus on NRG to get to objectives faster than Team Liquid, because if Team Liquid get the setup, you have to deal with Maokai saplings, you have to deal with Kaisa Void Seekers and the acceleration shock blast from Jayce. As we're getting through the second round of picks and bans, getting rid of some of those extra additional engaged support picks, the Nautilus taken off the table and Ornn taken away from Summit as well. Sorry, Ornn guy from last week. We're not going to be getting Ornn today, at least in this game one. The Tristana is still being taken off the table, as well as that Yeon.
Yeah, Tristana going to be taken away. I do think Tristana has less power when it's not paired with the Kaisa, because you don't have that AP plus AD double marksman setup, but a lot of teams are still down to go towards double AD marksman. It is going to be Renekton here on 4, so we're just waiting for Palafox's pick on 5. Malphite, you know, would be kind of interesting. It's very much not a Summit pick. We'll see where he wants to go. Jax Renekton feels like something that could be the option. It is pretty skill-based matchup. A lot of people do prefer the Jax side because they feel it's somewhat skill-based, but then you have the ability to outscale, which kind of gives you a little bit of that edge. Summit has been so good in lane, but his weaknesses have kind of remained the same, where he tends to die in side lanes a tremendous amount. And he does lead the league in ISO deaths, and that is a problem for him. But it has to be stated that the lane advantage is massively towards Summit based on the regular season expectations. Summit, his CST at 10 was over plus 12. Yeah. Dhokla was 10th in the league. He's on the very opposite end of the spectrum. He was negative over 8 CS at 10. So, you know, a huge differential between these two players. And, you know, with Summit on his kind of signature Gnar here, that is going to be really powerful. And this is interesting. So it should be support Sett here paired with the Kaisa bot. It should be Jayce mid, Gnar top. And it's a bit of an aggressive look here. Some people have been talking about Sett into the Rakan, into the Rell, being able to kind of deny some of this engage. You can try, as the Rell is coming forward, you can actually ult, buffer your ult, and just kind of take her out. Yeah. Pull her out of her Magnet Storm away from the rest of the team. So we'll see if he's gonna be able to find those good engages, but it has to be said, Sett engages are not exactly like the most reliable. Like, it really depends on your flash. If you don't have your flash, I feel like this champion can become so useless in a 5v5. So we'll see if he's going to be able to make things happen.
And before we load onto the Rift, I want you to all know, Viva la LCS! LCS in Espanol is the official Spanish language stream of the LCS. This new viewing experience is live on LLA's Twitch and YouTube channels right now. Scan the QR code or go to lolesports.com to learn more. I want to follow up on the point you were making about the set for the composition Team Liquid, because TSM, they were one of the first ones to run it throughout playoffs so far. Huhi, I think, is the only other person this split to run support Sett. The nice thing about this pickup is that NRG do have a lot of short-range champions outside of Azir, because for Xayah, she's one more of the relatively short-range marksmen in the pool right now, and it's a way to punish. As we take to the Rift here, no fancy level 1 evades quite just yet. It will just be a 5-man defensive fan from both teams here.
So looking into it, this is actually APA's first ever game of Jayce in competitive, not even just in LCS, in NACL as well. He doesn't have a single game played of it. So it is a bit of a step away, from what he normally plays. When you're looking through his champion pool, it's almost all AP champions. He does have a couple games of Tristana in this split, but that is about it. He really plays mages. That is what he is known for. So I do think this is kind of like a big opportunity for himself to really be able to prove that he can play a different style of champion at this level. Because if you come out here with the Jayce, if you fail with that, people are not going to have to respect in picks and bans. They're not going to have to worry about it going forward in this series. So I think it becomes a really important game 1 here for TL to establish that they have a little bit of flexibility, that you have to respect them in draft.
Yeah. Even off the top of my head, I was checking out APA's champion pool back in when he was playing at semi-pro through teams like Resolve and Barrage and even Maryville University on Collegiate. Now, there are some champions that I might be excited to see if he pulls them out, but Jayce was definitely not one of them. But while we're still in the early parts of the game, we're going to toss the Jet with an interview with Coach ThinkCard from NRG.
Thank you very much. I'm here with ThinkCard. Game 1 draft in the books. Surprising thing to me was the APA Jayce. When it locked in, I immediately thought Summit. Did that throw you for a loop, or how do you feel like the draft went?
I mean, we were definitely thinking they could flex it, but he's been spamming it in solo queue, and they've been spamming Sett in solo queue. So we definitely know they've been playing these champions, and we just have to see how proficient they actually are at them.
All right, how do you feel about your team's win conditions coming into game 1?
We're definitely a little bit outranged, but we have a lot of engage, and we definitely have a lot of our comfort picks. And Rell, Xayah, Rakan is just a trio that's been kind of running rampage across all regions, so I'm pretty happy with it.
All right, thank you very much, ThinkCard, and good luck in the series.
All right, cool.
Yeah, always interesting to hear, how much teams are paying attention to the solo queue accounts. And that's a big reason why a lot of players, when they're starting to actually learn a new champion or trying to get something ready for stage, they'll play on a Smurf account, right?
Yeah.
So people can't track that as easily, but, hearing that both Core and APA kind of tipped their hands through their solo queue accounts, knew that they were practicing these and let NRG know what to expect here for game 1.
Gotta get those Smurf IGNs, Got to keep things under wraps. But for NRG so far, nothing too exciting in the early game. There's a little bit of a mix-up in the top side of the map where Pyosik and Contractz ran into each other and said, oh, okay, I'm going to go this way, and you're going to go that way. We're going to continue full clearing, as Pyosik seems to be playing more towards the top side of the map, but might want to reverse it and make sure that he ends up on the bottom side when Contractz is there, just to deflect any early games.
Yeah, we'll see if he is going to head down towards that. And I also think when you are playing some of these melee supports like Sett, you want to be trading out your flash early. You want to be looking for aggressive plays. And pulling Pyosik down there to help enable you to do that, or to follow up on any sort of play that you could make, is going to be a big part of that. So, he's kind of doing this reverse clear. Started down on bot side, went up towards top, and now he's heading down towards those Krugs, and could look for a play here, potentially on bot side when he gets there. Ignar had been chunked really low as we were actually listening to that coach interview. We saw that, but popped his potions, and when you do hit those Qs, the Gleaming Quill heal is actually pretty massive on Rakan, so you can sustain that back up. And Core, on this set, they're not going to have any ability to kind of apply consistent poke, right? It's going to be all about 100-0 play here. So we'll see if they can find that. Pyosik is hanging around, and it looks like they may want to try to look for a lane gank.
Either a lane gank or Pyosik is here just in case Contractz tries to force a dive. It looked like NRG was trying to stack up that wave and protect Contract's entrance there in the river.
But I think if he's doing that, he should be starting his recall, right? So he's spending so much time down here. I think he was looking for the play.
Okay, CoreJJ flashing around into FBI. Gnar dashes back with the battle dance, and FBI had to burn both summoner spells, and it's an overall summoner advantage for Team Liquid bot lane.
Yep, so they do try to force the play down on bot side. Not going to be able to really get too much besides those traded sums. Pyosik doesn't really get involved, but this is going to be double scuttle here for Contractz, who has just been clearing on the other side. APA going to be pushing out mid as Palafox is pretty much dead but Palafox is not TP'd back yet, so he's going to be just fine. Now going to be looking up towards this top side. This is actually pretty dicey. Dhokla has the rage, ready for the stun.
And Summit is still mini, so he's forced to flash away from the crash down. The Q stun still lands, but Summit is out of there, but he did have to burn the flash.
Yeah, he gets away, but he burns the flash and he loses the wave, which really sucks, right? Because he is known for his lane dominance. He's known from playing from ahead, and now he is down that full wave plus a little bit more, and he's going to be having to play with a bouncing wave and no flash. So this is always kind of that really dangerous situation as a top laner where you just got ganked, you spent your flash to survive, now the wave is in a bad spot, he's got to push it out, and he's not sure, is Contractz still around? Is he still waiting here? Because if Renekton TP's back, you've got to crash that wave, but if Contractz is behind him, you're probably dead.
Yeah. Big thing here, Summit is already taking preventive measures by warding that top river bush because he knows that Contract's top camps are still coming up on the next reset, so Contractz could easily cycle those camps and then come back towards the top side and punish him without flash.
And I think that's why we're going to see Maokai just head up towards top. You know, I am expecting him to be out there. APA got really low off his ulti. He's dead.
He could flash. APA flashes out first. Palafox saves it, but that is summoner advantage now for Palafox in the mid lane.
I'm actually so surprised that Palafox didn't flash follow. I feel like he could have maybe got him there. Maybe he was worried about someone being behind him or didn't quite have that Q cooldown. When I looked on the client I was in game on, it looked like the Q was maybe back up, but we can watch this one more time. Scoops him into the tower. You know, that tower shot, you know, does end up landing. His APA should have just walked it out. That I don't know if he didn't realize that the turret was on the cannon, because he didn't actually have to shoot back there, but he wanted to proc his phase rush, so he procs the phase rush, he runs through, but he does take a tower shot. And it would have been one more auto, one more Q, one more anything from Palafox for the solo kill. Didn't end up going for it. Maybe he wasn't sure that he could actually, you know, catch up to him and kill him. I think he could have. But what they're going to look for very likely is as soon as Palafox has his ulti back, they're going to look for that guaranteed kill where he can flash in, shuffle in APA. As long as Contractz is there to follow up, they should have that kill. But TL very clearly know that their mid laner is at risk, so they're going to be playing around him.
Yeah, they learned from that Golden Guardians game where River and Huhi gave him the Sora welcome to NA treatment as well for APA, or at least welcome to LCS, I should mean. Now, APA is going to be protected here. Contractz and Ignar spending some time there gets answered by CoreJJ and Pyosik, so APA is still going to be safe here, but already you are seeing both of the solo laners from Team Liquid under heavy pressure from NRG.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, top lane, it was that gank from Contractz. You know, they went for this failed gank on bot side with Pyosik, and that is the cost of that, right? When you show on one side of the map, your laner on the other side of the map is going to be exposed to a counter gank, to a play on the other side, really. So Contractz, you know, was able to find something there. Then in the 1v1, Palafox has been getting the better of APA. He's up in farm. He had him pushed under his turret early. He made him take that early base for the TP. So then he was in this weird spot where he'd already used his TP early. Palafox was trading with him, then had the later TP. So he had to shove out that wave. That exposed him to the Azir ult there, forces his flash. So it's kind of this little snowball effect of when you make a mistake in lane, when you're falling behind in lane, you can get put into a worse and worse and worse spot.
Right. And it's one thing, you know, if Dhokla was given the advantage due to Contractz coming up and burning the Summit's flash, but the fact that Summit was already down CS from Dhokla, and now his flash is gone, and Dhokla is snowballing that CS lead, trying to snowball a lead, it kind of counterdicts what we thought Summit was going to be able to do coming into game one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit hard because the wave was stacked at his tower, right? So yes, there was a CS advantage when the gank came in, but at the same time, he probably would even out a lot of that, right? You know, as he does farm up that wave. But I hear you, you know, it has been a good early laning phase here for Dhokla. You know, they're clearly trying to put emphasis on that. You know, getting this strong jungler in here with the Rell, grabbing a pick like the Renekton that can really set up ganks well. So there's a lot of CC. If you're in mini Gnar, there's so much CC between the Rell and the Renekton that you can get burst down, and, you know, they're trying to make things happen with that.
Team Liquid know that they are kind of outmatched, and APA no flash. They talked about it before. Contractz is waiting in the wings as well. APA is pinging for assist, but Pyosik is on the dragon. He would have to give up leashing it for it, and he just says, come towards me. I smote it down the dragon. I can provide disengage with my ultimate ability. APA just runs over to bot lane. Ignar is just going to collapse onto APA, and they get the charm down, and APA's got nowhere else to run. That's first blood for NRG. They're going to look for more into Pyosik, and he's caught with his pants down. NRG get a double kill for FBI.
Both bot lanes roam up, but it is the bot lane from NRG here that gets so much more. As FBI is able to come up there, gets first blood, gets a double kill. APA couldn't really contribute to that fight whatsoever, had got scooped under the tower, you know, was on a full-on retreat. Pyosik was also a little bit lower because he was actually soloing the dragon, so TL was in such a disadvantageous position. You know, look at the health bars. APA is never really going to be able to contribute here. Pyosik is in a tough spot as well. They try to look for the turn here. He looks to ult forward, but the problem is FBI just pops the ult, pops the cleanse, goes right through him. is able to pull back to the rest of the team. Yeon and Core cannot follow up whatsoever. And FBI, feeling himself after that one, knows it's a big early play.
CoreJJ, Hex flashing in, tries to catch FBI. He still has a flash to play with. Can Yeon dump enough damage in with the killer instinct to find him? FBI almost makes the outplay, but Yeon has the instant cleanse to get out of the Feather Root stun, and Ignar is able to escape, but Team Liquid answer back.
Yeah, that is really big. Getting the kill back right there is massive because he hadn't actually spent up his gold, right? So he was still just sitting on those tier 2 boots. He had a ton of gold to actually spend after that play. They're able to find the kill on him before he can actually get back to base there. It was Core flashing out from that brush that does find him. And they knew he had no ulti. He does blow the flash. He tries to look for that blade caller plus the flash play to try to turn it around on Yeon, but couldn't quite find it. Now Summit could potentially be in trouble. He's about to mega out though.
Contractz hasn't shown himself. Pyosik is over the wall. Contractz goes in, tries to ward off Summit before he can look for the engage. He knew that they were not going to be favored in that 2v2 with the ultimate up for Pyosik as well. So Contractz being able to show early, make sure that Dhokla gets out.
Yeah, that was weird though, because Pyosik just hit the wave, and so I guess they're just going to move away from the wave now, but like, he goes top and he kind of hits the wave, and then Summit's in this spot where now it's like, do you know for sure that Contract's based? You don't really.
Yeah.
He still needs to push out the wave. He's assuming that Contract's based. So he is going to be fine because he did in fact do it, but you can see he's still having to respect the fact that the jungler could be there, and that's why he's running away, and the wave's now frozen on him. So I feel like Pyosik kind of griefed him a little bit.
Not the best setup for top lane, but alas for Pyosik, he had to go towards the middle side since it seemed things were about to get volatile, as both NRG's jungler and support were there preying on APA.
Yeah, now that they know where Contractz is, you know, it is fine. He should be able to push out that wave. He should be able to play it a little bit more aggressively, but Summit definitely not playing this lane the way he would have wanted. Kind of has been on the back foot ever since that early gank. You know, went out in some of those trades, but has never really been able to kind of establish much of an advantage. And now Yeon here on that bottom side, gonna get one solo plate to himself, gonna be feeling really good about that. Has the much earlier first item, you know, has that shift completed despite the kills to FBI, because FBI went for tier 2 boots. So he did go for a bit of a different build here. You know, he's going towards that Kraken's lair, and as a result, you know, has himself kind of down in power right now.
And one of the things that Yeon has been able to do so far this split has been able to free up himself in the laning phase, while CoreJJ has been able to look for roams. The fact that Yeon can kind of handle himself in the 1v2, while Pyosik is still here to help guard him. It has been shown in multiple games when Team Liquid get ahead through bot lane, Yeon has been able to get himself fine, but APA is in a tough spot, dodges the Q stun, but the crackdown in the Magna Storm should be enough CC for Palafox to clean up the kill. Summit is here, but he's only on mini form, so it's got to be all ranged auto attacks, and Contractz should just be able to speed on out.
Yeah, remounts. Is he going to be able to get out of there? No problem. APA getting preyed on so far. They're attacking him on this Jayce. Palafox has been doing really well in the 1v1. I've been able to force out that flash in the 1v1 solo. So then you know NRG is going to be calling in the reinforcements here, looking to take down this Jayce, put him into the dirt. And they're accelerating Palafox. He's now up, you know, good 20 CS, plus he has the kill, plus he has 2 assists. Things are looking a little bit dire for TL, who is a team that is so reliant on their super powerful early game. You know, this is a team that is dominated in the early game, one of the most dominating early games in the entire league, and often plays from such an advantage. Even with that advantage, they do struggle to sometimes close out games because their mid game, their late game is not that clean. NRG also, you know, they were showing it in the lounge with these kind of gold graphs. They're a team that is very up and down. Sometimes they're going to come out, they're incredibly dominant, they look so good, they're taking out top teams in the league. Other days they come out, they're throwing massive advantages, they're losing to bottom teams. You know, you don't really know what you're going to get with them, but it is concerning for TL, who is a team that often loses even with a massive advantage, to be down 1.5k early on against NRG.
Yeah, which is why this series is so interesting, because as you already mentioned, NRG sometimes can have these massive advantages, but then if they don't respect their opponents in a team fighting situation, sometimes those throws have occurred in the summer split. Team Liquid is not necessarily known for their ability to be able to make a comeback in the late game, but if there's a day to change that narrative, it would be against NRG today.
Absolutely, and just look at the opposite kind of priorities here. Look at all this vision invested in the top side, this area for TL to try to enable Summit, and then on the bot side, it's all of these red wards here from NRG. They're trying to cover that bottom quadrant of the map, clear that they want to play around Dragon, and TL is depending on Summit to get advantages in the 1v1. That's why they're putting so many wards up there, so he can play aggressive, so he knows that the jungler is on the top side, because they're expecting him to beat Dhokla in that 1v1, but so far it is not happening. He has not been able to establish that advantage, did get pressured early, and Dhokla has done a good job of maintaining a slight lead here and really kind of just stopping one of the main advantages that I was expecting TL to have.
Yeah. And right now, all of Team Liquid's hopes kind of rest on Yeon, who does have the highest gold in the game so far. And with something like Static Shiv, he can accelerate that gold lead even further and further. And he's going to be a threat the later the game goes on. But Team Liquid are going to want to have some of that immediate power more sooner. Because otherwise, NRG, the way that Palafox is set up right now, he's very powerful. He has the crown, so he has a little bit more defensive power so that he doesn't get exploded by the members of Team Liquid. And then Dhokla's already kind of a menace for Team Liquid to deal with.
It's going to be a fight here. Dhokla's going to have to TP in. Contractz has gotten caught.
He pops the Magna Storm. He's tanky for a bit, but he's separated completely from his damage dealers before Palafox and FBI are able to escort him out. Summon is not Mega yet, so he doesn't have a lot of threat onto the members of NRG quite yet, but now he's building up that rage because the rest of NRG backed off.
And Dhokla's not wanting to TP, so it feels like NRG, we're setting up, maybe trying to see, okay, can we get a pick? Can we make something happen in a 4v5? But they're not actually going to move multiple members over. There is no TP to answer Dhokla, so now they're going to come in.
4,000 HP. Ignar pops the quickness, looks for the backline, but doesn't quite make it with the grand entrance. Pyosik with the W goes all the way to Ignar. Now he's separated from the rest of the team. Can Team Liquid burn down the Rift Herald? But now they don't have smite advantage, so that should easily go over to NRG, and they take it with ease.
Yeah, Contractz, I think, didn't have smite either because I think he used it for the kill there. But NRG at the end of the day are going to be able to grab that Herald as Ignar just pulled Pyosik back so far. When you press W, when you hit that twisted advance, you're going for the ride no matter how far it takes you. And it was not an expected ride here as Ignar went in on the initial engage, pops the quickness, flashes forward, misses the grand entrance there on Yeon, but then battle dance back to FBI. You have that additional range when you are playing the Xayah Rakan, and that meant Pyosik got pulled so far back they collapsed on him. On the other side, TL tried to take out the Azir. They weren't able to do it as he had that crown. He flashed out to safety. And so then at that point, they are in a 4v5. They're down their jungler, and they know they've got to disengage.
And the fact that NRG were able to, despite coming back to the Rift Herald on the second entrance late, they brute forced their way in before Team Liquid got a chance to set up their poke, because that is what this composition, as you already said at the beginning of the draft, is really structured on. You want to get to those objectives first. You want to poke with Jayce EQs. You want to poke with Yeon Void Seekers and make sure that NRG don't get a chance to walk in healthy.
Yeah. And I mean, you could see, some of the difficulties that they are going to have with this composition as well. It's like they were the first ones there, but at the end of the day, they couldn't find a clean turn, right? Was Dhokla coming late? They were first to set up. They're the ones who you would think would be able to kind of snap grab someone and make something happen. Ignar kind of failed his engage, to be honest, with the ulti flash, wasn't able to catch on Yeon, but then TL didn't have that instant turn to be able to lock someone down and burst someone down that they would have wanted. And unfortunately for them, it meant, despite the fact that they kind of had the better setup, they did lose out at the end of the day. And TL now trying to get down to bot side to try to defend these turrets. But it's APA kind of playing from this pretty disadvantageous position, down 30 CS to the Azir. It's going to be a Nashor's second here, with that Conqueror build for Palafox to be able to deal with this 3 melee core front line that is going to be fairly tanky. And he is going to be a bit of a menace. FBI also incredibly strong. Yes, you can rely a bit on that poke, but I don't know if you can rely purely on the poke to really kind of save the day here.
Yeah, you're going to also need some type of flanking threats from Team Liquid, and if Summit is not able to find a teleport angle where he can get access to the backline in Mega Form, then Palafox is going to be undeterred when he's just putting out soldiers and just attacking the front line ruthlessly at Team Liquid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the TL needs something to kind of break up the map a little bit to try to pull someone apart, and that's why they're trying to play through side lanes. Jayce Gnar is a good 1-3-1, but it has been Summit getting pressured and has been APA playing from behind, so they just don't really have any pressure in these side lanes like they would want. Summit playing forward pretty aggressively, but his turret is going to be gone no matter what. We'll be able to stop a charge coming down on that tier 2, and you can see people moving up the river a little bit, so potentially some action to come out, but doesn't look like it's going to end up happening.
And it's just going to get scarier for Team Liquid because NRG, if they have the winning side lanes at the moment between Dhokla and Palafox, they're going to be able to collapse in once the T1 turrets are taken out. They can go in through the mid lane, through the jungle, and then you lose safety even with that tier 1 turret in the mid lane as you're trying to set up that strong point with Yeon, who is still the only person that's ahead. And Summit, I mean, you're just too far out, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. He gets the flash away, but Contractz and Palafox clean it up easily.
Yeah, League leader and ISO Deaths is going to add another one, unfortunately, to the column there. From Summit, they will trade a tower on the other side. They're going to be able to get a dragon as well. So TL are getting something from this. It's not just, you know, a completely useless death. So they will be happy to at least take some objectives on the other side. But that is one of the things that, you know, when you start getting a reputation like this, teams will attack you more than the average player because they start to look towards you as someone who can be preyed on, who can give up those easy deaths. And that is why NRG, you know, TP up Palafox. The tier 1 was already gone. Summit stayed around, so they TP him up. He comes in behind, and there's no way out for Summit, who has been attacked and who has been put down. You know, it is now 20 minutes in, and Dhokla still maintaining that advantage. And NRG looking like they're in a really good spot. We'll see if they can continue to take some of these dragons away. You know, the only kind of edge right now for TL is that they do have that 1 dragon lead.
Right. It is 20 minutes into the game, so Baron is alive for the taking. And when you have something like an Azir, once Palafox completes the Nashor's Tooth, I imagine it should be super easy for both him and FBI to burn it down, even if they don't have all 5 members. So that Baron pressure becomes even more looming for Team Liquid to deal with. As Summit is now on the bottom side of the map, he has teleport to be able to respond, but the fact that Dhokla is waiting here in Fog in this bottom jungle makes things really difficult for Team Liquid if they overstep themselves here in the mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. It does become pretty difficult, you know, if you get a little bit too aggressive. There are a lot of ways to start fights here, you know, for NRG, so you're gonna have to be pretty careful about it. You know, if they can get into the back line, especially APA is gonna be the target in most of these fights. You know, Yeon is gonna be a little bit more slippery there with the cleanse, with the ulti, but APA is gonna be preyed on, and if they can find him at the beginning of these fights, it will be tough for TL to win out. Contractz trying to play with vision. You can see that TL at least wants to maintain vision around the Baron. They know when you're going up against Azir, plus a high DPS marksman like that Xayah, that Baron can get shredded in a hurry. So you always have to keep eyes on it, and TL are playing pretty heavily around this area to try to at least maintain some vision.
NRG's game plan right now, get to mid-wave, touch it, be able to shove it in, and then go back into the river and look to take control of vision. The fact that there's still some saplings and some wards from Team Liquid prevents NRG from being able to threaten Baron right away, and as long as Team Liquid can continue maintaining some sort of vision there, they can stall it out until the next dragon, which will be the next objective for NRG and Team Liquid to play for.
Yep, unless NRG are just willing to straight up flip it. But then that becomes really difficult because that's where the Kaisa, that's where the Jayce can really kind of have an open season on you in that pit. You know, shooting fish in a barrel, just continue hitting you with that poke, continue poking and prodding away, and making that pretty difficult. It is not going to be an AP variant for the Maokai, so the poke won't be doing that much. But Dhokla, you can see, forced to ulti as Summit had a red buff and was actually chasing him down there in that bot lane. So they force out that ulti defensively. It's a slight win, but Contractz looking like he's going to fight.
They're engaging, and Dhokla doesn't get the TP first. Summit has Mega Form. He's right onto the back line here. FBI is stunned up. He gets the wall down, but Summit takes a lot of damage, so he jumps right into the front line. Dhokla teleports in, but he's still alive. He's able to sustain up with the Gore Drink, and he gets out, and the rest of NRG can reposition for this fight. They look for Yeon. They know that Yeon is the big target for them. Big root onto the back line as well. Yeon is caught out. He's forced to flash. CoreJJ handling everyone as he can, but he gets taken up by Palafox over the wall. That's a huge pickup for NRG. And with 4 members up, they can't go for the Baron because Contractz is dead and no jungler on their side, but they're going to look to push down to the mid lane.
3 for 1 at the end of the day. A very close fight on both sides. It looked like it was going to be a good angle here for TL because Summit had Mega ready and he had just forced out the Dominus from Dhokla on the other side, but Dhokla arrives, they burst down Summit, he barely survives with that Gore Drinker, and APA now has got to try to stop this Baron. Nice shock blast on the Palafox. He's got to try to go for it, I feel like. You can't just give this up.
APA is going to look for an angle. Impossible. He has flash, but it's just too difficult for him to get in there. Dhokla is also bodyguarding, making sure that Palafox doesn't give up the shutdown, doesn't go down, and he can just slice and dice over the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? You know, maybe you want to just flip it, flash in there and hammer for him, but I guess he thinks, hey, I'm just going to get stunned up. I'm just going to get locked down and end up dying. So here's the play one more time. Again, it was about this TP coming in from Summit right here. Dhokla does look for an answer right on that ward. He comes out without Dominus, though, when he's already low, so you're thinking, this guy's got to be dead for sure, right? But wrong! They can't actually finish him off. He's able to barely survive. Not enough damage was actually put down on him. And unfortunately, he gets that Gore Drinker off, he gets that little bit of healing off, and TL start to fall apart here as FBI takes down Pyosik. Yeon is pushed back, and the soldiers over the wall from Palafox are able to get another kill. You know, Core had a nice angle for a turn, but they just didn't have enough damage there to actually make anything happen from it. And now NRG has exploded the gold advantage here. And you can see picking up some of these defensive items as well. Palafox already has a stopwatch. FBI just grabbed a Hex Drinker, which seems a little bit weird to me. I'm not going to lie, because it is just the Kaisa, but you know, I feel like lifesteal probably would have made a lot more sense to just be able to sustain through it, but I guess maybe he feels the only way he can die is to the Kaisa, so we'll see if that works out. Either way is going to be the Dragon here for NRG, so evening up the Dragons, opening up a massive gold lead. Tier 1 tower bot is dead for sure. It's just a question of how many can you get with this Baron buff. Yeah,
Pyosik and CoreJJ are kind of looming here. Ignar looking for the play. Nice interrupt from Pyosik, but he's still got the quickness, so Pyosik is going to be locked down. Thankfully, he's a tank. He sustains a lot of damage, is able to walk away with half of his HP still available, but NRG got the turret that they want.
Yeah, they're going to get the tower. They're just trying to buy time, basically, though, for APA, who's splitting on that top side. And if you can trade evenly, you are trading up when you are down and when you are against this Baron buff. But it's going to be about the siege here on the tier 2. NRG moving forward, trying to get more from this. Dhokla's gone back, so he's going to get to the tier 2 top. Does not have teleport, so as APA backs off, NRG will have to be a little bit careful about a potential TP flank from APA. And that is why Dhokla's pushing forward, trying to track this Jayce. They know they can't give him that angle, but it will dissuade them from pushing any further. So thus far, it's just a trade of towers during the Baron buff. So not too much really gained here from NRG after the initial take.
And there's only 30 seconds left, so
yeah,
NRG don't have much time to really get anything else more. So from the side of Team Liquid, it could have been worse. It's still a 5,000 gold deficit that they have to climb against, but they still have scaling on their side. APA's finally completed the Muramana, so his poke is actually going to at least feel impactful. And Yeon, once he completes that third item, then the Void Seekers will start the back punch.
Yeah, he is going to be looking for those Ludens. He's even playing Ingenious Hunter for the item CDR, you know, for more Ludens procs and things like that. So the poke will be ramping up, but the question is, can you find those angles? As Ignar going to look for a bit of an engage on the Summit, can't find it, but they do knock down another tower there. So 6.2k is the gold lead now. It's actually a full maw for FBI, so I'm a little bit surprised about that. Well, actually a lot surprised about that, to be honest with you, but we'll see how it does work out for him. You know, generally you only see people go into things like Maw instead of lifesteal when it is like 100 to 0 burst potential from a mage, right? When it's something like a LeBlanc or maybe like a Syndra or whatever. So this is definitely atypical, but you know, if he feels the only thing that could ever kill him is Kaisa, you know, ulting into the back line and one-shotting him, then hey, more power to you. We'll see if it works out. But I do feel like in a lot of situations, he may wish that he had some lifesteal, because if you can hit him with a Shock Blast and a Void Seeker or two, he's not going to have much lifesteal in that kit with his current build. So may be able to kind of just dissuade fights by landing a little bit of poke onto him. Whereas normally people these days are just going third item Bloodthirster, and that's enough to kind of just heal up off one camp, one wave, whatever.
Even with the Maw, that was one Void Seeker of damage to the FBI, and now that the Ludens has been completed, so FBI is going to have to be careful and play a little better dodgeball as they get ready for the next Dragon objective. Dhokla has already taken the time to push up this top tower, so someone will have to respond. And meanwhile, it's the battle for vision once again, but this time on the bottom side of the map as NRG start to push Team Liquid away from the safety of their jungle.
Yep, trying to push them out. It's just going to be playing about objectives here. You know, TL not under a tremendous amount of pressure right this minute. But it is going to be about when this Baron does spawn here. That is really the next thing on the list for NRG. In 120, we're going to see them moving up, starting to create vision around that area. For now, they're just playing down through bot lane. They're looking to see if there's an option to get this tier 2. They're trying to get a little bit more gold, and they're going to look for APA.
APA flashes away. The Palafox ulti doesn't quite connect, but the turret might be the prize for NRG if they can just get a couple more hits in. The rest of Team Liquid don't want to re-engage on this one. The turret falls down. NRG go back into the safety of the jungle. Yeah,
nicely done by NRG. They get down there, they get the flash of APA. Palafox, I don't think would have had a scoop that would have killed him anyway, but you just see the animation coming out and you have to flash or it's going to be too late. So does end up using that flash. This buys enough time though for NRG to get that gold, get back to base. They're going to fully spend up, and now we're going to see them move out towards this Baron and start getting vision around it. You can see some pinks have been picked up. You can see a lot of these luxury items are done. Palafox is actually closing in on a death cap as well. So This is going to be pretty scary stuff here. There's a BT, likely on the way for FBI as well, and they're going to be kind of answering TL at all turns.
Yeah, Palafox has just been that guy this game ever since being able to dominate APA in lane, call over Contractz to punish his lack of summoner spells in the early stages of the game, and being able to play so well in team fights, even while down almost on critical HP, is able to survive. The early investment into the crown has paid off well, and he's maintained that high shutdown bounty as he looks to be one of the main team fight carries as we get into the Baron.
I mean, it's all up to APA and Yeon from this position. They have got to land poke. The bear on the Baron, you've got to soften them up. You can't take them in a straight 100-0 fight, so it's got to be about landing enough poke, but the Baron is going down fast. FB is already at half health, though.
Summon is trying to look over the wall. 3,000 HP. Nature's Grasp locks them all down. Summon is into the pit, but will he expire? Oh, but Pyosik steals the Baron! It was an early smite from Contractz! Pyosik is able to get the Baron for Team Liquid, and now can they clean up the fight? I say it's Team Liquid, you just get out of there. You've got the Baron already!
Yeah, they get the Baron. It's just going to cost them 2 lives here. We'll see how much energy can get with this. But TL could maybe even just rush straight towards the Dragon and get that as well. That is a massive steal here from Pyosik, as NRG just try to finish it in their face. They don't get that smite secure. Taylor on the Dragon, but a TP is coming through here from Dhokla. It's just him. Now a second TP coming in, but they should be able to get this and get out.
Wait, someone hit it! Wait, someone hit it!
Oh.
Okay, CoreJJ gets him with the face smack. CoreJJ is gonna go down for that price. It looks like he wanted the Hex Flash over the wall and get out, but he had to sacrifice his life to ensure that they got the Dragon. Dhokla flashing on top of APA to make sure he doesn't get out alive. Yeon doesn't have any more mana, so he can't really save him, but he gets the blast cone out, and APA and Yeon walk away.
Yeah, nicely timed there by Yeon. They gotta be a little bit careful though, because Ignar could go over the wall.
Right over the wall, as you called it. Palafox is able to sweep on over, and Pyosik is just a tank. He can't do anything against this guy. He has to wait for Yeon to look for the damage. Palafox might be exposed. He flashes, but he can't get back over the wall. He uses the stasis to block out Maokai's ulti as well, and Yeon is caught out. And NRG, they have the damage dealers. Team Liquid don't. Summon goes to the Mega Fork, but he cannot approach this wave, as NRG will look to push into the base of Team Liquid.
This could be the game potentially. We'll see how much NRG wants to go for. There are some low health bars here, but it's 30 seconds on APA, and they're going for it.
It's just pretty much all tanks, and Summon has gone mini, so he's even squishier. CoreJJ throws his life in there for the cause. Facebreaker doesn't do anything. NRG are undeterred. They're ready to take game 1 into their own hands, but Ignar's taking a lot of damage for the turret shots. Dhokla stares, is popped. Ignar goes down to Summon. Oh my god, it's a Clown Fiesta. Summon and Pyosik are going to defend this with the rest of their lives, and they just might get away with it.
Oh my god, Ignar walked up in the tier 3 tower up in top lane, got hit by it on the exit, gets taken down. Getting a little bit fast and loose here in this one. As we can see, NRG one more time committing to the Baron. TL looking for that play. Look at Contractz. He actually went over the wall, got rooted up, and then I think, it's all the CC on him, but he's not in the pit either. Pyosik just flashes past him. Contractz is not even in the pit. You're trying to keep out the enemy jungler. You kept yourself out. That was a horrible play from Contractz. Rewatching that is like, that's not even a steal. That's a donation from Contractz. That was really, really bad. So he gives over the Baron to TL. And then down here for this Dragon, I think the read was that the Q from Yeon was going to finish this off, but it doesn't quite do it. So CoreJJ realizes, I got to Hex Flash back towards the Dragon. Thankfully, at least he did get it. But then we saw this long extended play where a lazy recall was eventually punished here in the base. Yeon got caught over the wall. But pretty messy stuff. And then NRG trying to finish the game, but didn't end up having the minions. Ignar gives up a freebie on the way out, and Summit now in the area. He's looking.
And he's out of there. The blast cone back to safety. Pyosik gets engaged on by Palafox.
What is he doing there?
Throws out the ulti, roots him up. Hey, Palafox doesn't have flash from before. Maybe CoreJJ can lock him up, and Yeon is just dumping damage into Palafox's back. The killer instinct was so easy and so free. Summit is able to get a shutdown on top of that as well. And they find Ignar in the back half of it thanks to APA.
Oh my god, NRG have got to settle down here a little bit. They have a massive lead, but they are starting to make me nervous that they might actually be throwing this game here. TL starting to have some signs of life, finding picks, finding plays, punishing some of the mistakes here from NRG. And now that tier 2 tower is gone, Palafox is gone, so you could even maybe take more. Someone's pushing out topside, and APA and Yeon are really starting to ramp up this poke damage here. APA has been put down pretty heavily in this game, but he's now on 3.5 items. The death cap is complete on the other side, but they're becoming a legitimate threat, and Summit actually going Hullbreaker, so he wants to commit to playing through that side lane.
Oh boy.
And we'll see if he can actually create an advantage in that side lane because, hey, man, like, they're not actually that far away. You know, one more bad play from NRG, and this is a very winnable game from TL because they are now one dragon here from Soul. You give them the Soul, it starts to become a real problem in a game that was looking pretty much wrapped up.
And death timers are so long at this point that NRG, even if they lose some of their frontline members, it's just so hard for them to actually prevent Team Liquid from just walking up and destroying towers. Things like Jayce, Kaisa, and Gnar all just destroy them in a matter of seconds.
The BT now finally completed, though, for FBI, and now things are going to get more difficult for TL because now it's not really that viable of a poke target, you know, to hit FBI. You know, if he doesn't have minions around, sure, you can poke him out around objectives, but if there's a minion, if there's a jungle camp, he's going to be healing right back up to full over and over. You can see Summit with that Hullbreaker pushing up on top side, has that empowered cannon, which is going to be a lot more difficult to take down, but Dhokla fancies this fight, man. He's going to look for it.
He's got a GA, so he's willing to trade at least one life for one life if Summit goes down, and he has FBI in his back pocket for reinforcement. Summit is on the run now. He has flash, but he knows that there's no chance unless he gets the flash out, and FBI featherstormed into the wall, and he couldn't take him out!
Oh, he couldn't get him. Didn't want to commit the flash to follow. Summit barely survives there. Is able to get away. I think he would have had the win in the 1v1, but knew someone was coming, was very far up and very, very close to actually going down and getting punished here once more. Summit, though, won't have flash, won't have mega, so he's got to start charging this up because it's going to be a fight for this dragon. TL really wants to get Soul here. They are first in the area, and they're just rushing it. They're going straight onto it, and NRG are showing up late, and look at them. They're getting poked so heavily as they walk in.
It's so hard for them to be able to brute force their way through. Summit is building up his mega form as well. Dhokla is already half HP. Hysterics gauge is already popped. Contractz looks for the engage, but he whiffs on everyone. CoreJJ middle into the backline, forcing FBI and Palafox to reposition into the right flank. Summit is taking up damage. 30,000 HP on the dragon. 3.8k. It resets. Pyosik gets forced off, forced to flash. They go right back on the Summit now that he's mini farmed. Ignar is able to find him with a knockup, but Palafox is able to take him out. Pyosik still has a smite, but he is out of this one. The dragon goes over to NRG, and Team Liquid now have to run. Dhokla is looking for the chase. He doesn't have flash, but they can look for the re-engage and cut them off. The mid lane is going to be a dicey one to walk through. They have to walk through the left side of the jungle.
Yeah, they're going to try to move towards Baron because they don't have minions here, but Dhokla's in trouble.
Killer Instinct! Dhokla takes too much poke! That's one isolated pick to the side of Team Liquid, and now the poke is starting to hammer in even further. APA was kept down early in the game, but he's been able to farm up and keep his cool, and now he's doing some real damage.
Yeah, TL are fighting back here in this one. NRG getting a little bit split up. Dhokla was kind of left behind there a bit, and maybe he wanted to hold the mid wave, but he gets tagged by some of that poke, and then the Killer Instinct is there to actually push him out, and now Pyosik is just kind of out there by himself.
And NRG knew that
he's just dead for free. Now they get Baron. Like, what is that?
Dios mío, Azael, I don't know what's happening.
Oh my god.
This is una locura if I've ever seen one for sure. NRG, man, they now have 7,000 HP. They're burning down the Baron. There is no smite available from the side of Team Liquid, so that should be an easy one. No donation from the side of NRG, but now they have to walk out because the poke is back. Yeon is looking for more with the Void Seekers. Magnetstorm is already popped by Contractz, and they're keeping them on the run. The slow from the Sorelda's Grudge off of APA Shock Blast is keeping them in firing range, and Team Liquid are just trying to keep them there for even more poke and to deter them from being able to reset.
Yeah, they're trying to keep them involved in this fight. You know, they like their chances in it. Without flashes and without a lot of those big hard engage cooldowns, it's tough for NRG at this point of the game to actually get a good fight, right? Because if you try to hard engage forward, you don't have the flashes, you don't have those abilities to actually lock down APA and Yeon, they're gonna destroy you with the amount of poke that they have. Shojin's already done, so you can get the 2 accelerated shock blasts per gate now at this point of the game for APA. And the Void Staff now completed for Yeon as well. I assume he's gonna be working towards a Death Cap last item, which is gonna be really powerful, but Pyosik, he really wanted to check the Baron, but the problem is you have to think ahead to the point where it's like, okay, if they're doing Baron, what can you do with no teammates around you? And the answer is nothing, right? And that's why you just can't be in that kind of situation. So him going down gives over a free Baron to NRG. His team tries to kind of fight their way out of that spot and get something from it, but not able to do it. You know, and both teams definitely playing pretty sloppy here in this game number 1, but it's still TL down 8k gold. And NRG are just one fight away from closing out this game, taking game number 1 of the series.
NRG gets some vision inside the base of Team Liquid as they push out on this top side of the map. The Baron buff still available to them for the next minute and a half. Summit is forced to recall back to make sure that he is here for a defense if NRG push all the way through the Nexus turrets. this should be a free inhibitor as there's no response from Team Liquid. The minions do enough damage. Ignar is chunked out to half HP. They're looking for the engage. Void Seekers from Yeon are firing onto the backline and landing their mark. Last one misses as Contractz leaping forward, wanting to look for the engage. Nothing is found. NRG get with the inhibitor though and walk away.
NRG get the inhibitor. They will back off. But again, it's another Baron. Not able to get much. Ignar's maybe going to go down.
Void Seeker, Ignar, does he have the quickness? Does he have anything to get out the grand entrance over the wall? CoreJJ looks for the face breaker. It still doesn't do enough damage. Ignar is alive. CoreJJ goes down. It looks like Team Liquid had the pick, but Ignar baited them in, and now they have the man advantage.
Core flashed in to try to make something happen there, but Yeon, wasn't able to get the kill, and he just had to flash out, so Core ends up going down. Ignar gets out with the thanks to that stopwatch, staying alive. Summit trying to charge up his Mega. It is just going to be another inhib going down, though. But this is yet another Baron. We're 40 minutes into the game. NRG has been so far ahead for so long, and they still have not been able to close this one out. It's not like an Elder is even going to be available for them to kind of get that game-winning objective to guarantee it. So the game will continue. And yes, there is a massive gold lead for NRG, but that has not changed for the last, 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it seems like at this stage of the game, an 8,000 gold lead does not mean as much as it would have 20 minutes ago when NRG were seemingly in sole possession of just taking and closing this game. But the fact that Team Liquid have been able to, off the mistakes of NRG and failing to close out or being able to pick off members, AP and Yeon, the poke that they have been able to land and just cause so much chaos in NRG's backline. The fact that Team Liquid are still in this game is just off the back of these two.
Absolutely, but we do have to point out, Yeon spent his flash there, and there's going to be flash for Contractz, there's going to be flash for Ignar, and they are going to be looking for this TLAD. They're going to try to burst them down. That's why he grabbed the stopwatch here, to try to stay safe. We'll see if he's going to be able to do it. Both teams looking like they want to fight for this sole point. We're going to Dragon number 7 here, so it's the maximum, and both teams are going to be looking for it. We'll see if TL can find their way in, though, because it is NRG controlling this area, and CoreJJ could be in some trouble.
And for NRG, they don't necessarily need to start up the Dragon. They can wait for the top wave to build up with Super Minions since the inhibitor is down.
Has to force.
But they're burning down the Dragon as well, trying to force Team Liquid to come in. Summon is Mega. As you called it out, it's about to expire soon if he doesn't jump in and commit, but if there's not a good angle, then it's not safe for him to go for it. And NRG are going to secure the Cloud Soul for themselves. Nothing that Team Liquid could do. And now, if Team Liquid are caught out here, there's a giant minion wave building up on the top side of the map through the top wave. They have to recall, they have to defend.
Yeah, someone had to flash out of there. Dhokla was chasing him down. Oh, with that Cloud Soul moving quickly, they're going to send someone up towards that top wave, try to clear that out. The other 4 from TL will stay down towards bot. And now TL are just kind of relegated to staying into the base, waiting until another objective comes up here where they can try to move out and contest. And NRG, though, they're completing their full build. So if TL can somehow hold on for a while, the gold lead is going to kind of stop mattering at a certain point. But it is triple inhibs now down. The mid and the top inhib will be back relatively soon, so it won't be too many waves that they have to deal with that for, but it is going to be a very difficult task in these next couple minutes here for TL.
Dhokla popping the dominance, ready to launch into Team Liquid's front line and start battling. But the dominance is going to expire. Maybe it was just to show maybe some aggression, but it might have been popped too early here from NRG.
I mean, it's all about these waves that we see coming in. Double super wave, double super wave, double super wave, all moving out on the map. So once those arrive, it becomes so hard to even clear those out that as long as the enemy team just kind of stays around and makes you deal with them, it's so tough to have that split focus where you're having to clear out 6 supers at a time plus deal with your opponents, and that's where it can really just get impossible. You can start to get run over. But TL are trying to stop NRG from basing. They know that they have them chunked out, so they don't want them to get back to base and reset before this Baron.
Yeah.
They want to keep them here, and they want to keep them low on health. So they have their solo lanes out towards top, out towards bot. They have Yeon here out on the map trying to just poke them constantly and trying to keep them involved. But this is scary stuff for TL because they are alone in this 5v3 for now. Palafox is going back to base. He's going to be able to TP back to the team. And now Jayce is going to have to TP up here as well. But look at Dhokla. Getting that rage bar channeled up, and he's going to be looking for a flank.
And he's in fog right now, and so is Palafox until he steps into the river. The Dhokla can just pop on over to APA. There's no way that they can answer. 4,000 HP on the Baron. It is taken, secured by NRG. And Team Liquid now are going to have to rely on potentially this last base defense.
Yeah, we'll see if they can do it. It is going to be inhibitors coming back pretty soon, so this is the last wave of double supers, but double supers plus Baron is so hard to actually wave clear. even if there's not a lot of enemies around and all 5 of NRG are here, we'll see if they can make it happen. It's all up to the poke. It's got to be APA. It's got to be Yeon hitting this poke non-stop, and we'll see if they can make it happen.
Void Seeker will connect. It connects on the Dhokla at the front line. They want to look for FBI and Palafox and try to chunk out the damage dealers out. Nexus turret 1 falls. Summit is below 50% HP. Has to go back to the fountain before he can engage on Mega Form. He's built half of his Rage Form up. APA fires 1 more Shock Blast into Palafox.
They're going to have to force
it off. Summit is going in. Dhokla pops the Dominus. Nature's Grasp. It's Contractz right onto the backline, stopping APA from being able to fight back. Yeon is retreating right behind the base, so he can't really do any damage. So that means FBI just gets the free fire into the front line of Team Liquid. Yeon is forced to both use Flash Cleanse and Killer Instinct already on top of it. NRG have the numbers advantage, and they should just be able to walk this one in. FBI flashing forward, has the GN inside, so he has all the confidence to be able to take out Yeon and to be able to take out Team Liquid. Yeon is in the fountain. He goes golden, but all for naught, as Summit is the last one standing outside of the fountain, and NRG, poke comps be damned, they will take game 1.
Nicely done. NRG going to be able to grab game number 1. 45 minutes it took them to close this one out. Was a pretty big lead for quite a long time, but they did struggle to finish. TL definitely made them work for it. And I have to say, this is kind of what we signed up for when we saw these 2 teams in playoffs. We knew it was going to be messy. We knew it was going to be kind of wild, back and forth, really difficult to predict. Both teams having some